Welcome to PseudoPod, the weekly horror podcast. What follows this is designed to both scare and entertain you. Before we go on, you get one warning. Everything is fair game in horror. Everything. What follows may disturb you. PseudoPod is made entirely by humans in service of an ancient being wider than time and older than hope. She's nice. Says hello.
PseudoPod, episode 1033, for June 12th, 2026. Devil is Fine by Michael Bettendorf. Narrated by Norm Sherman, hosted by Scott Campbell, audio by Chelsea Davis. Hey everyone, hope you're all doing okay. I'm Scott, assistant editor at PseudoPod, your host for this week, and I'm excited to tell you that for this week we have Devil is Fine by Michael Bettendorf. This story was first published on Cosmic Horror Monthly in January 2025. Michael Bettendorf, he/him, is a multi-genre writer from the Midwest. He's the author of the experimental black metal game book True Cult 2024, cyber noir collection Midwestern Chrome 2026, and literary bizarro novella Help, I Can't Stop Shitting Snakes 2027. Okay. His short fiction has appeared or is forthcoming in Cosmic Horror Monthly, Mythaxis, and elsewhere. He works in a high school library in Lincoln, Nebraska, a place he believes is too strange to be a flyover state. Find him on Blue Sky at Bearded Bets and www.michaelbettendorfwrites.com. Your narrator is Norm Sherman. Norm Sherman is the multi-talented master of all things weird and wonderful. In addition to founding, hosting, and producing the Drabblecast, hosting and co-editing PseudoPod, and creating his own original music, he also runs a nonprofit organization. Norm lives on a small ship circling Phobos with his Nigerian princess Tunumbu. He occasionally lands long enough to read story for us. Now saddle up and get ready to ride, because we have a story for you. We promise you, partner, it's true.
Devil is Fine by Michael Bettendorf. Read by Norm Sherman. I ain't a good man, but that don't mean I like doing bad things. Not everyone is afforded the choice. Not truly, anyhow. But I've accepted that one day I'll be judged for what I done, what I do. My lot in life didn't leave me with a good family or much in the way of inheritance, but I was gifted with a decent mind and an eye for opportunity. It's how I found myself huddled on the ground near some boy named Mitchell, who's convinced he's a man just because he don't live at home no more. But the boy is so embarrassed by his lack of whiskers he covers his face with a bandana all the time, like he's playing bandit. Well, if anyone's gonna be suspected a bandit, I suppose it's better Mitchell than me. It's colder out here than I thought, Mitchell says, poking the fire. Well, the plains trick you. Hardly any cover out in these parts. Makes any breeze feel 10 times colder. Mitchell rubs his arms, hugging himself. It true you took the stagecoach yourself? The boy asks. That how you get that beautiful horse of yours? Don't know what you mean. No need to be coy, he says. I heard you took a guarded stagecoach and everything in it all by yourself. Not a single breath of air left in anyone's lungs. That true, Mr. Grant? Just Grant, I say, and I ain't interested in tall tales. That's not what I heard. I heard you make short work of tall tales, that you're a hell of a gunslinger, ruthless, no goddamn heart in you. Watch your mouth, son, I say. Didn't put you for a religious man, Mr. Grant, given the killing and all. Just Grant, I say, and I ain't. I'm just tired of hearing you talk. It's a half-truth, of course. My opinions of my father and his God couldn't touch the clouds, but he instilled into me not saying the Lord's name in vain. I always felt like I was welcoming a curse by doing so. All them stories are just stories of a man getting by. Ain't nothing to be proud of. Some men are born lucky. Ain't concerned much about getting by. It's one of them things you can hear in the way a man speaks. My employer, David McNally, for instance. Boy, how I hate that man's voice. How I hate taking commands from that man's voice, all stiff and lifeless like one of them wind-up clocks. The man's pockets are so deep you could pump water from his boots. Though it might be truer to say you'd strike oil, seeing as he inherited so much of it. That's why he thinks I'm here, to protect him and his wagon full of money from folks like me. McNally steps from his wagon, grinding my thoughts of robbery into dust. All right, folks, it's getting late, he says. One of you rest, the other take a watch, and switch when you're tired. We got a long day tomorrow, and I don't want no problems. Mitchell is eager to take the first watch, which is fine by me. The boy waits till McNally returns to his wagon before he opens his mouth, nothing but bad breath and worse proclamations pouring from it. I know what you're here for, he says. His eyes shrink when I don't respond. Don't you try nothing, I say. Oh, it's too late for that, Mr. Grant, he says, and it don't matter anyhow. What are you getting at? I mean that it don't matter, Mr. Grant. That case is empty as them skies. Emptier than that head of yours, more like, I say, and it's Grant, no mister. I rub my chin in contemplation, figuring the boy could be telling lies to take the whole for himself when I'm asleep. Maybe he just looked in the wrong case. What do you mean empty? No banknotes? No clothes? No, nothing, Mr. Grant, he says. Well, not nothing no more. I peeked in there our first night out, figuring we was so close to town I could make a break in the night and catch a train out east. Thought I saw a lone bar of gold in there, but it was nothing but an old harmonica. I don't see how. It don't make no sense. I blew a note that first night, made no more noise than a man sleeping in peace. The next night I peeked in the case just to make sure, and there was nothing. I think McNally caught wind, though. Been giving me weird looks ever since. I'm waiting for the right time to make a break for it. Oil your gun and count the stars, I say. I'm tired of listening to your bad ideas. I wake and stretch and pat my horse Sadie. Given the way the stars seem to ripple across the glassy sky and the way my gut rumbles, I'd say it's near 3 a.m. I walk a quick, oblong pass around the wagon, ensuring he didn't do nothing stupid while I was asleep. I walked to where he was sitting, snoring, disappointed by his lack of responsibility, but I'm glad to see he hadn't run off nonetheless. I nudged his boots once, then I kick him and he doesn't stir, and I get in close and tug the bandana from his face. I knuckle to sleep for my eyes, unsure of what I'm seeing is real. The thought hits me I may still be asleep, as I've been known to control my dreams from time to time. But this ain't like that. Black drips from the boy's nose and mouth. His jaw is set at an unusual angle, almost like it's 2 sizes too small, appearing like a mouth of a cave. And there's this unusual glow about the hole, which ignites the boy's fury and sends him into a rage I ain't never seen in a man's character before, not even my father's righteous wrath. Mitchell covers his face, pulling the bandana tight. I can't help but notice how clean it is, unsoiled by the substance oozing from his flesh. How curious of a wound that is, and I consider it's not a wound at all. I'm just sick, okay? It don't mean nothing else. I hold up my hand to show I don't mean no harm, but he starts swearing at me and God himself in a language I can't place. Keep your voice down, boy, I tell him, but it don't matter. McNally stumbles from his wagon, pistol drawn. The boy's gaze shifts from me to McNally. Mitchell, don't! I shout, and my hand is at my hip, gun drawn. The boy turns to me and shoots. My vision turns strange. An intense pain throttles my head, and I fall to the ground. Sadie, though she's a good and loyal horse, is not the bravest, and I watch her grow restless. Then the boy shoots our employer and his horse. I crawl over to McNally on my hands and knees, watching as Mitchell mounts Sadie and rides her off into the empty night. I'm stubborn, but I can accept when things have gone to shit. McNally lies dead beside me. His wounds appear like 2 crimson eyes on his chest, and maybe it's my vision playing tricks with me, but I swear they open and close as if trying to blink away tears of blood. When I muster the strength to do so, I stand and touch my face. I feel around shredded skin and broken bone and blood already turning sticky, and find myself in intense confusion, a chaotic double vision, one where I see midnight blue stretched across the horizon until infinity, and one staring at my boots, covered in bloody muck. The shot has removed my eye from its bony home, the socket shattered by gunpowder and lead where it hangs, unraveled, still somehow granting me one of life's great senses. I bend over and heave, carrying on like this for what I feel is an appropriate amount of time, the stinging pain subsiding due to the shock, stress, and perhaps the universe's gift to me. I cook my knife in our fire's dwindling coals until the steel glows, and I do what needs to be done to my right eye, my best eye, my hazel eye, the other being blue. My shooting eye. I'm not sure why I do it, but I place my severed eye into McNally's open mouth, and then I walk away, same direction as the boy. Moonlight bathes the prairie in a pale glow, creating a ghost-like landscape that is nearly treeless and seems to call out to the sky's enormity, almost maddeningly so. Thoughts poke at me while I walk across the plain. Did the boy's sickness cause him to crave violence? Did I cause this by revealing his face and all? Was McNally sick too? And will I succumb to the strange illness just the same? Maybe I already have, for what's more contagious than the desire for retribution, for violence? I consider I've been sick for a long, long time. An illness passed down to me by a violent, cruel father who serves a cruel, violent God. Go ahead, I call out. Strike me dead for all I care, goddammit. You taken everything else. There's no lightning, there's no thunder. The earth does not crack open to swallow me whole, but I do hear a faint sound of music in the distance. I hobble towards the noise. A few dozen yards out, a figure sits atop a trunk the color of wine in the middle of the road, playing the harmonica. The notes are somber and drawn out, and seem to convey a particular kind of sadness. Mister, I call out, trudging through the water towards him, drawn to the tune. Hey, mister. And as I get closer, I see he has no clothes on, and he's built like a skeleton, with skin pulled so tight and paper-thin across his bones you can see his veins and all the blood coursing through 'em. A road map of black underneath pale flesh. Mister, I say, but he keeps on playing. You caught the sickness, mister. He pauses and smiles. I wish I could say it were an empty one, but it ain't. His smile bears the stars and seems to contain the vastness of the universe. No, I am the sickness, but I am also the cure. The figure grips my head in its bone-white hands, brittle and smooth as driftwood, and kisses my eye, his tongue dancing inside my broken socket. Could be weak nerves, but I can't move. His tongue is rough against my tender, cauterized flesh. There is cool numbness as he pulls away from our embrace. He licks his lips and begins to play a tune, and my world turns unholy black. There's a moment where I believe the pale man is holding me in his arms, for I feel weightless as if the earth no longer cares to pull me close. But there's no way he could hold me so. Something in my mind whispers, believe. His hand, cold to the touch and heavier than it ought to be, rests on my shoulder, the way I imagined my father always doing, but never did, with such kindness and grace. And as if he can read my thoughts, the pale man says, he never loved you, Grant, but I do. I'm giving you all of this. And he stretches his arm wide with an open palm, as if he's serving me the world. No price but your love in return. I gaze at the ethereal plains, seeing the DNA of all that make up this world, overwhelming my senses, tears in my eyes at their beauty, the truth of nature. After a while, the pale man speaks. So what do you say, son? Were I not broken, I may have questioned the stranger's intentions, but instead I lean into his embrace, his flesh soft as a snake's belly. His sunken eyes tell me he's proud of me. The pale man snaps his fingers and dissipates to gun smoke, turning the air around me oily and unsavory. When I open my eyes, it's as if I'm looking at two different worlds simultaneously. The one as we perceive it, beautiful in its own right, but awfully fallacious in its presentation. And the one as it truly is, neither gorgeous nor hideous, but composed of the dust motes of veracity. I stare at my hands, one eye seeing dirty flesh and the other the geometry within my skin, and gristle and all the molecules of man that I am made from. Bursts of light in the shape of a doe runs in the distance. Ribbons of life and death spiral through the air. I'm inclined to gaze at heavens to see if my father was right. But there, all I see is swirls of particles. I set my eyes forward, toward this intuition in my mind I can't ignore, nudging me toward the boy and my horse, I walk for days without tiring, guided by the voice in my mind. Storm clouds form before my eyes, days before the rains fall. Wind shifts. Buffaloes migrate across the frontier. Though they don't know it, they're almost the last of their kind. And this saddens me. These are the truths I see, and yet I know I'm not the only one looking through these eyes no more, nor my thoughts my own. But the promise of recovering my sweet Sadie pushes me onward, fighting through bloody blisters in my aching heart. Whether it's the result or the cause of my new vision, I can't be certain, but it leads me to a place where my mind finds no respite, only gloomy death, only truth. For I'm confronted with a scene not even my eyes have witnessed in all my gunslinging days. A camp, painted red. A man flayed and dumped, crackling in a weak fire. A child of no more than 8 years, huddled in the slumped, dead arms of her mother, whose decapitated head stares at her from below through milky eyes. I vomit into the grass. Though the child lives, I only see death when I look at her. It's in her heart, and it's in her mind, and it's in her thoughts. The once innocent story of her life's been rewritten by someone else's hand. The boy's. She wants to be left alone. I see that, and I oblige, following the trail I know will lead to Mitchell. No more than a half-mile northeast, I catch sight of the boy, kneeling in the middle of a river. I could shoot him dead here and now, without so much as a blink, but the voice in my mind tells me otherwise. I carry on, stepping into the shallows of the river, which carries blood downstream. A pink froth laps at my boots. The boy is still crouched on a sandbar a few yards upstream, tending to what appears to be a snake-bit horse. And no matter how much I want to lie to myself, I simply cannot, for I know the truth which lies before me. My sweet Sadie, a Dutch warm blood the color of buckskin, lies bleeding into a river. Tendrils of shallow breath emanate from her nostrils. A weak whinnying sings somber in the air. "Boy!" I yell. He turns, hand and face covered in Sadie's blood, meat stuck between his rotten, jagged teeth. I ain't ever drawn my gun so fast, but despite the voice in my head telling me to pull the trigger, I hesitate, waiting for the boy to speak. "I don't want to," he says. The words form in the air, written in the breeze. "I'm sick, and now so is you. You don't have to do this. You're a good man. He fooled us both, Mr. Grant." The boy's tongue is twisted, the words pouring forth simultaneously from two different worlds. They collide with one another in the air, truth and deceit battling for ownership. I'm not a good man, but that don't mean I like doing bad things. But seeing Sadie suffer puts a fury into me I've only seen once in my life, and I fire my pistol, watching the cylinder spin in slow motion as I empty it into the boy. He writhes amidst the oily black seeping from his body, and I'm not convinced he will ever die, though I know he can feel pain. "Just Grant," I say. "No mister." Moved by burning thoughts, I stumble to Sadie, falling on my knees at her side. I stroke her neck, and I tell her I'm sorry, convinced she was judged for what I'd done. "You were my only friend," I say. "Weep for her, son." Black tears pour from my eyes and seep into her wounds, an unholy tincture which brings life back into her pale eyes. She snorts, spraying blood across my hands, but stutters to a stand nonetheless. Dark, ropey sinew knits her muscle together. Soon comes the flesh, and a pale patch of hide dots her buckskin-colored coat. I mount and ride across the plains, guided by the voice in my head to deliver retribution. An obedient son.
Well done. You've survived another story. What did you think of Devil is Fine by Michael Bettendorf? If you're a Patreon subscriber, we encourage you to head over to our Discord channel and tell us. First, a note on the title. Devil is Fine is also the title of the debut album of Zeal and Ardor, a band that mixes African-American spirituals with black metal. I know, sounds a little weird, but give them a listen and it will make sense. We've already featured a song of theirs, Coagula, for episode 658, I Hate All That Is Mine. Devil is Fine is a concept album imagining an alternate future where American slaves decide to choose Satan instead of being forced to worship God. Definitely fitting for this episode. The author had this to say about the story. Quote, I was still pretty drunk on the experience of playing Red Dead Redemption 2 when I wrote this story and wanted to write a weird western that took place in the plains where I'm from. And of course add my touch of weird/religious horror to it. We all know a Mitchell, don't we? Someone who wants to be the man, to be the diva, envied, admired, and desired. Someone who is famous now, remembered years later, a legend for the ages. Part of the problem is that he doesn't have the talent, the drive, or the discipline. A lot of us have that problem. The other part is that he is convinced that he has the talent, the drive, and the discipline when he really doesn't. A lot of us have seen way too many examples of this in our lives. As Grant says, Mitchell who's convinced he's a man just because he don't live at home no more. Mitchell really resonates, because we've had a stampede of Mitchells in recent years. And like the Mitchell in this story, when given some power, they can only cause chaos, destruction, and death. Some of you may argue that there is a stone-cold gunslinger and a supernatural being that just might be the devil. I'm not worried about them. Grant has self-awareness which puts him way above Mitchell. As Grant says, I ain't a good man. That don't mean I like doing bad things. Grant has earned his reputation with grit, determination, and blood. He doesn't want to be envied, admired, and desired. He just wants to do the job, whatever that entails. Hell, he doesn't really go after Mitchell over shooting him and losing an eye. It's because he stole Grant's horse. It's not revenge. It's rescuing his friend. And as to, let's just call him the devil. He could totally be love-bombing Grant, knowing his history and the hole in his soul. Grant admits that he would have been more suspicious if he had been shot and lost an eye. Maybe, though, this being could be sincere. Grant seems to have a good sense of people, even in his diminished state. Grant knows which monster to put down. On to the subject of subscribing and support. We're a nonprofit, part of the Escape Artist Foundation, which has been a leader in our industry for 20 years, pioneering submission-based short speculative fiction podcasting. PseudoPod itself is 20 years old this year, and we have some great things coming up to mark that momentous milestone, so keep your ears peeled? Okay. Quick note on the subject of submissions. We're currently open for our annual Anthologies and Collection Call. This is for reprints from books published or due to be published in 2026 specifically. Do you have an anthology or collection out this year, or know someone who does? Please encourage them to submit. If not, we'll be open for general submissions in August. Back to support. To make sure we keep bringing you the best in horror short fiction and continue paying our authors, narrators, and crew, you may have noticed we've introduced brief, paid advertisements at the beginning and end of our episodes. But good news, Patreon subscribers now get ad-free versions. So if you can, please go to pseudopod.org and sign up. The $7 level will get you ad-free access as well, of course, and access to our Discord channel, and you'll be able to download stories all the way back to day one in your podcatcher to listen at your leisure. Although one-off donations really help, and we are incredibly grateful for every morsel, regular donations make all the difference to us. They give us stability, sustainability, and allow us to give our horses sugar cubes and other things. They have a particular diet. If you can't afford to support us financially, believe us, we do understand. Yeah, Please consider leaving reviews of our episodes or generally talking about them on social media. We particularly love to see you on Blue Sky. Find us at PseudoPod.org. You can also support us by buying things from the Escape Artist Void merch store. The link is in various places, including our latest social media posts. PseudoPod is part of the Escape Artist Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit, and this episode is distributed under the Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Download and listen to the episode on any device you like, but do not change it or sell it. Theme music is by permission of Anger's Manga. And finally, PseudoPod and Billy the Kid know I ain't afraid to die like a man fighting, but I would not like to be killed like a dog unarmed. See you soon, folks. Take care, stay safe, and, save a horse. Ride a cowboy.
When you listen to a narrator or let yourself go into a story, you are letting yourself go into the car of a stranger. You are getting into the car of a stranger. You are walking in the front door of someone you do not know.
It's a pseudopod. It's a big foot.
It's all about podcasts these days.